This conference will now be recorded.
So yesterday we have seen the theoretical part of understanding initiator rule, okay, routing rule, and also the agent rule, right? So Manamu will just try to see how to do that in the system. We'll just try to understand. Okay, these are the 7 steps as we can see. So we'll see one by one. Okay, so here, so as we discussed, every process ID will have an initiator. Okay, so guys, one thing here is we do have standard initiator rules, standard uh, agent rules, standard routing rules. We do have all standard which are delivered by SAP itself. So if they are not sufficient, then only we'll go ahead and create the customized initiator rules or customized routing rules or customized agent rules. When you are creating the customized ones, then BRF plus will come into the picture, or else we'll not be using the BRF plus. Okay, so here you can see process ID and process description, and there is rule ID and rule ID description. Okay, so this rule ID is nothing but the initiator rule. As I said, one process ID will be assigned to one initiator rule. So these are all the initiator rules. If you can see, these are all starts with GRAC. So these are all the standard ones. So if we are creating, we will create with Z or Y, which starts with Z or Y. So you can understand that these are all the standard. You can see the description also, default initiator rule, default, default, default. So this is the default initiator rule which has been provided by SAP. Okay. And now there is something called in between escalation. Okay, if you check this, what will happen? If you check this, so if you scroll down, here there is something called escape conditions. Okay, so that escalation is different from escape. Okay, escalation is something like if you want to, after few days of approval, right? So so reviewer or approver has not approved it, then you want to escalate that request to someone else, then you can use this option. Okay, and escape conditions means for example, in some stages, if there is no approver or there is an error in provisioning, so in that case, the request should come to security team. Okay, that's the most of the time that's how the real-time projects will be there. Okay, so there will be a stage called manager and then role owner. If there is any issue anywhere, that should be coming to security team. That means it has to uh, land in security if there is any issue. For that, there is a escape condition. So if there is any approver not found, not provisioning, these two are the problems, issues. If these two are the issues, then we'll give a escape path here. Escape path, and in this path, we'll give stage as security. How to create this path? So we'll see that next in coming down the line. We'll see that next steps. Okay, so once we have the path created, and in that path, we'll give security as the um, stage. Okay, and that will be given here. Okay, whenever there is an issue, okay, so you can just give the stage as well. At which stage? Escape stage. Okay, at which stage this has to work. Okay, you can give that as well. Okay, these are all exceptional cases, guys. So, but for you guys to understand, we'll try to concentrate more on the paths, stages, rules. Okay, so now going to the second step, maintain rules. This is the place where you will maintain all the rules which are there in the process ID. It can be initiator rule, it can be routing rule, it can be agent rule, and there is another one also, notification rule. So whatever rule, okay, so these rules can be created in BRF plus. Okay, so once you create there, you need to define it here. Okay, see, if you can see, these are all someone has created. So you can see these are all BRF plus flat rules. Okay, so you can get a question. So there are so many initiator rules. Okay, so you can create as many as initiator rules, but here you can see global rules. Here you can see global rules. Here process initiator. Here you have to give one initiator rule, and that will be the active. Remaining all are waste or just there. That's it. There are of no use. You can have multiple initiator rules defined in this particular screen, but still the initiator rule which you are giving it here, that only will be displayed in the first screen here. Whatever you are giving it here, that will be displayed there in the first screen. That means for sorry. So for any process ID, at any point there can be only one initiator rule active. So this is the one right now active. There can be many assigned to that process ID, but there are of no use. Okay, and you can see there are agent rules, initiator rules. You can see routing rules. Okay, so these are all standard ones, and there are few someone created also. If you can see GRAC, these are all standard ones. Okay, so this is a routing rule, this is a routing rule, this is a routing rule. There are four routing rules, four standard routing rules. Okay, so this is a place where if you create a new, so we'll talk about BRF plus later. Okay, so how to create a table there. Okay, that we'll talk about it later. So for now, we'll try to understand this is if we are creating anything there, this is the place where you need to define that. Okay, so we have all the standard rules in place, and also we have created the custom rules as well in BRF plus, and we have to give that here. Okay, after that, maintain agents. Agents are nothing but approvers, guys. Okay, maintain agents. Agents are nothing but approvers. Again, there are standard agents. For example, role owner. Role owner means every role will have a role owner. Okay, how do you know the system who is the role owner? So while importing the role itself, you'll give the role owner assignment approver. You'll give that, right? So that's how the system understands. Okay, for that role, this person is the role owner. Now, when you create a stage and give agent ID as role owner, here there is something called role owner. That means it will directly go to the role owner. So there are standard agents also created, delivered. We can just use it. For example, it has to go to manager. Okay, so GRS, we have nothing to do. We just need to use this agent. That's it. How this agent is pulling the manager, that that is standard code that has been written in the standard code itself. Okay, so we don't need to bother. When we need to bother, if you have a requirement, some peculiar requirement. So as I said yesterday, right? For criticality level, okay, so for criticality level H, this should be the owner. For criticality L, this should be the owner. So this is already not there in the system. For example, role owner, it's already there in the system, you have already imported. So for this particular requirement, for criticality level H, this person is responsible. This kind of thing till now you have not defined anywhere. For that reason, you need to create a agent rule at that time. So you'll create agent rule again in VRF plus. Okay, once you create agent rule, you have to define that agent rule here, and then you have to create one agent for that here in this. Okay, so if there is any customized agent, you can see here there are some customized agent they've created. Okay, so we'll see one by one. I will try to create agent rule and initiator rule, okay, in the coming classes, and we'll see how does that work. Okay, so variables and templates, for now I'm just skipping this. And maintain paths. Okay, so this is the place where you actually create paths. Okay, in that paths there will be stages. Each stage will have a agent ID. Agent ID is nothing but the approver. Okay, so again, SAP has delivered its own uh, standard paths as well. Okay, if you can see GRAC default path. So this is the default path SAP has provided. So we can just use it, or if you want to change this, you can change it, or if you want to create a own path, you can create it. Okay, so this depends on your requirement. Okay, basically most of the time uh, we recommend not to disturb the standard one. So if you want to create a new path, you just go ahead and create a new path, new stages. Okay, so now here, if you guys see, here you can see every path has stages maintained, stages with the sequence. So what is the purpose of the sequence? So the sequence help you to understand the workflow has to go to whom first, and then next to whom, like that. So sequence 1 2 3. So if this is the path, okay, if in so you guys try to connect the dots. Okay, so in the work in the yesterday we have seen the diagram, right? So from where it starts, flow chart. So once the request is submitted, so once the request is submitted, so a system will understand the process ID, and process ID will be assigned to a initiator rule. Initiator will uh, get the path based on the conditions. That path will have the stages. So and each stage will have a agent ID. Okay. So now till now what we have seen maintain rules. We have seen all the rules defined there. Okay, it can be agent rule, it can be notification rule, it can be routing rule, or it can be initiator rule. All that rules has been defined there. Okay, so there are all standard rules as well. If there are standard rules, they're already there. If there are custom rules, you can create that in BRF plus. Once you create that, you need to come here and define it. Okay, and maintain agents. Agents also you need to define it here in the next step. Okay, there are standard agents, custom agents also. So we will create custom agent rule, we'll create custom initiator rule, and then I'll explain you guys. Routing rule, we have standard ones, we'll uh, try to use the standard ones. Instead of creating the new ones, you'll try to use the standard ones. So okay, now as we are here, there is a path has the stages. Okay, so each stage has, you can see, a agent ID assigned. This is a standard. If you can see, it starts with GRAC. Agent also starts with GRAC. So now here, the first stage is a manager stage and it's a standard one, and the second stage is configured as role owner. Third one is configured as security lead. Okay, so this is how agents are created, and these two are the custom agents someone has created. Okay, so to understand more about this agent, what does this agent mean, what is there in this agent, how what they are defined. So to understand that, you need to go back to maintain agents and check this, what is there in that. Okay, cool. Okay, next, maintain route mapping. So maintain route mapping, I will discuss this when I get into BRF plus. Okay, this is related to BRF plus. Okay, so now I'm not explaining that. So are you guys clear with the basic things? So what is what? So I'm not getting into any, I have not got into any details on how to do that. Okay, in very much detail till now. I have not. So you might have many questions, but still, uh, I want you to understand what is what at least till now. Do you have any questions till now?
Not really.
Sorry,
Nothing really.
nothing. Okay, fine. We'll see one thing. So we'll try to create a path. Okay, and we'll try to first we'll try to use the standard ones before going to the customization. So we should understand the standard ones. Then later we'll go for customizing. Okay, so we'll create a path, but we'll use the standard agents. So this is completely in the display mode, guys. Okay, at the last step is generate versions. So if you have done with all these 6 steps, last you need to come and activate, save and activate this workflow. So if you guys remember, okay, so I have told in the first step, each process ID should be activated, then only it will be working. If you are not activating, for example, control assignment, if you are not activating this workflow, then when you whenever a mitigation control ID is assigned to a user, it will just get assigned. It won't trigger a workflow because this workflow is not activated. Okay, so if this is activated, then whenever the mitigation control ID is assigned to a user, automatically this workflow will be triggered. So how do we activate that? That is the last step. Save, activate. So whenever you click on save and activate, okay, save and then activate. If you click on activate, automatically it will ask for a transport request, guys. So again, all these changes what you're gonna do you will be doing in the development system, right? So whatever you are doing, it will be done in the development system. So complete workflow has to be transported as well. I'm sorry, guys. Yeah, I'm sorry. So whenever you try to save and then activate, right? If you're activating it, automatically it will ask for transport here. Okay, so once you assign that workflow in the transport, and the complete workflow will be transported to the next system. Okay, so are you guys clear how to transport the workflow?
No.
Okay, so now what we'll do is we'll okay, so I'll do one thing, guys. I'll try to create paths and I'll show you. Okay, I'm into control assignment. Okay, fine. Okay, so this is all completely in display mode. If you can see how to get into the change mode, there is something here. There's a button here called display and change. Okay, for example, if you are already in the this particular thing, maintain paths, here you can't get into display mode, sorry, change mode. You have to get into change mode means there is only one option. You have to go to the first step and here you can click on display change. Now I am in change mode. Okay, now I can move on to the next stages. Okay, fine, cool. Now what I gonna do is, okay, again, before getting into path creation and all, how does the standard path works? How does the standard path? Here you can see there is something called grac default path. This is the path which which SAP has given. Okay, so how does this work? We have a standard initiator rule as well, right? So standard initiator rule as well, as per our understanding, what happens, process id will trigger a initiator rule. Initiator will be responsible for choosing the path. This is what we know. So now uh, when I say standard initiator rule, which is there in this system right now, so I can show you that. So this is grac underscore ar underscore initiator. This is the default initiator for this particular process id. Okay, in this initiator id, so it will be programmed, or there will be a table in such a way that any request, okay, irrespective of anything, that has to choose this default path which is already there in the system. So there is no condition there. So if it is any request submitted, that has to choose this path. So whenever you see this, uh, for the first time you have installed it and this is the first time you are opening it, that time you won't see all these things. I'll just show you guys another one. For example, let's take another process id. risk approver. Let's see. This maybe you guys can connect to it. Okay, so if I go to maintain paths, here see, here also someone has changed it. Someone has customized this also. Okay, fine. Okay, so what it looks like this is how it looks for the first time. If you are opening, there will be only one path and there will be only one stage. This also won't be there, guys. This someone has created. Okay, there will be only one stage, GRS default stage, and agent ID will be empty. Agent ID, who is the approver, that you need to decide. Okay, so we have the standard agent IDs again. If you want to be the risk owner should be the approver, then you can select the risk owner. Risk owner is already standard one, no need to create a new one. Okay, so this is how it looks when it, um, it's for the first time. So our process ID, the first process ID would be also looking like this only, but after that they would have created these many paths. Okay, when you choose the default path, okay, so now whenever, so now tell me if you guys have seen this. Now I have submitted the request, guys. Now I have already submitted the request. If you guys remember, the request number is 12, I think, right? Where that request would have gone, can you tell me, and how?
Sorry?
So we have
Yeah.
submitted one request already, request 12,
Yes.
right? So now tell me, till now, till now, whatever I have explained, from that understanding,
You can
tell.
see the agent in the path.
Sorry, your voice is breaking.
You can see that in maintain paths.
That's what I need to understand from the flow. First one. So, what we can see in the maintain paths?
Request has been created, then to which agent it has been moved to
Sorry, I'm
stages
not.
wise.
So my question is simple. So I have requested I have submitted the request number 12. Okay, now I need to understand.
Yes.
It went to some approver. Okay, who is that
Yes.
approver and how it went to only that approver?
Firstly, this process ID will be triggering the.
Yeah, you're on the right track. Please go ahead.
Yeah, it will trigger the path.
It will trigger the initiator rule.
Initiator rule will decide which path to take.
Okay, so what is the initiator rule here? Default one,
This one,
GRAC,
initiate that one, default one.
default one. So
Yes,
irrespective of what is the request,
that is the default one.
what path it will select by default? It
Say
will select the
GRSC
default path.
underscore ARSC and
No,
default
I'm
path.
talking about the path. So this initiator rule
Yes, it
by
will select the
default,
default path. Yes,
it will select the default path. So what is there in the default path? First stage, manager. So the request will go to the
yes,
manager.
manager.
Is that clear? How does
Yes.
it work? So now yesterday we have seen a requirement, right? So first it has to go to the manager. Okay, so now I want to create my own path. How does I create it? Okay,
So if we see in a manager ID, you can see this request.
yes,
Later on, if
manager can.
a manager process it, it will go to role owner stage.
Yes, exactly.
Right. Okay, I got it.
Okay. Okay, fine. So if we'll try to create a new path now. Okay. How to create a new path? Simple, guys. So click on just add. So I'll just create z demo underscore init underscore not even need init z demo path 1 path 1 demo training. See, this is my path. Now, as of now, you can see this. There are no stages at all. Okay, if I want to have a stage, you can come here and click on add. So here you need to give the stage sequence number. I'll give as 1. Stage config ID. You can just give. So if you want to use the standard one, or you can have the custom one as well. Okay. For example, I want to use the standard one. We'll go by standard one. Manager. Okay, I've saved it. This is just a stage config ID, right? So we need to give the agent ID as well. So here there is something called agent ID. So now we need to give the agent ID. So agent ID also there are standard ones already. So if I so all these agents should be already defined in maintain agents, guys. Then only it will be visible here. So I'll select the manager. Approval type. Okay. All approvers are any one approver. What does it mean? So for example, if there are many approvers at one stage, we have to give the approval type. If any one of them will approve, will that be sufficient, or everyone has to approve? So that that is the one. So any one approver. Here there is only one approver. Okay, here is it's just a manager. Managers can be multiple. So in some cases, so we do have multiple as well. Routing enable escalation type. So you just leave this here and save. Okay, now I have created a stage and I've given the agent as well, the manager. Okay, so here there is still we have seen some. So we have seen something called routing enabled and escalation type. Okay, these two routing enabled, right? Routing enabled means if you are clicking on the routing enabled, then you need to give the routing rule also. That means in this stage, after this stage, for example, in our case, yesterday's case, uh, once the manager approves, there should be a SOD check. That means whether risk is there or not. That means there is a routing rule coming to the picture after the manager. In that case, here we need to enable the routing. If we enable the routing and give the routing rule, so which has that particular table, right? So if you give that here, what happens is after the manager once approves, this routing rule will be triggered. Instead of going to the next stage, this routing rule will be triggered. If I am not enabling this, right, it will automatically go to the second stage. If there is no second stage, request will be completed, guys. Is this clear? Escalation type, so you can just try to escalate also, escalate to the specified agent, or escalate to the next stage. So you can just escalate it giving number of days. Here you can just give the time, how many, after how many days it has to be escalated to someone. So this is the escalation. Okay, so is this clear? So we are not creating any standard one, guys. We are just, sorry, custom gun ones. We're trying to use the standard ones and explain. So later I'll create the custom ones in the BRF plus. Okay, and then we'll use that here. Till that, so we'll try to understand the standard ones. Is this clear, guys? I'm just saving this. Okay, maintain route mapping. I'll just save this. See, once I click on save, immediately I have done some changes, right? So I have created a path. Immediately it is asking for use existing transport, create a new transport, do not transport. Okay, for now I'll select do not transport because we don't need to transport this here. If in real time, so you can just create a new transport or existing transport also. If you have already have a transport on your name, you can use the same one. Okay, and if there is any warnings, it will show up here. If everything is green, means whatever you have done is right. Okay, now I have created a path. Where is my path? Okay, z demo t underscore path one. In this, it has a manager. Now, for me, does my path will be triggered now? First question.
Yes.
Hello. Does my path will be triggered in any case?
Any case,
If I submit the request, uh,
okay.
does initiator rule choose this path? Current initiator rule, whatever is there.
Yes.
No. So the current initiator rule is this one. This will always choose the default path.
Okay.
Even though I have created this path won't be triggered right now. Are you waiting? Are you guys following me?
Yes, Alok.
Okay, so does this path will be triggered? No, this path won't be triggered right now because initiator rule will be initiating the default path. So now we can change that in the maintain route mapping. We will come
Okay.
here. Here, see, there is a GRAC initiator rule that has GRAC default path. Here we have the path and the link between the here. So if I if I change it here, modify. If I change it here, guys. So if for now the initiator rule, if you can see GRAC initiator, that has the GRAC default path linked. Here I can change the path now. If I can if I can just give my path, you should be able to see our path. Save. Now what happens? Now what happens is every time this initiator rule is triggered, this path will be triggered, whatever is the request. There is no conditions, guys. I don't have multiple paths. Okay, based on this request type, go to this path. All that, nothing. That comes if that is the requirement, BRF plus comes into the picture. For now, I am using the standard initiator rule. What the standard initiator rule does, it will trigger whatever is the case, it will trigger to one path. That one path I have created and one path I have assigned to that initiator rule here. Is this clear?
Yes, Trilok. Yeah, yes, Trilok.
Okay, so now if I submit the request, what happens? What
It
happens
will
if I
trigger
submit the request
initiator
now?
rule.
Huh?
This path will be selected. The path which you have
This path
created.
will this path will be selected. Shall we quickly see that? Can we
Yes.
submit the request and see that? We'll just generate this,
Yes.
save, do not transport, and activate. We need to activate MSMP resulted. MSMP table contains errors. GRAC access request. Version could not be generated. There is a errors, guys. If someone has not done some configuration right, then it won't get activated. Configuration security lead. So there is a problem with this configuration ID. Wait, we'll try to delete that. We don't need it. Someone would have created something and left in between without completing. So there is some error here. So we'll just delete it. Save, non-transport, and activate. Okay, so MSMP process version configuration table contain error. What is those errors? Configuration role owner stage reported. Mm, okay, I'll delete that also. Okay, this is now activated. A new version is generated. You can see there is a version number also 25. If you do any other changes and generate again, version 26 will be generated. Okay, like that. Is this clear, guys, till now? So that means this I have generated means this workflow is active. Okay, now I will try to submit one request. Let's see what will happen. You guys are following me, right?
Yes, yes.
So now I'll just try to submit one request. So as per our path, as per our MSMP workflow configuration, whatever is the request you are submitting, it should select one path which we have created. Okay, so I'll just So we have already imported 2 roles, right? We'll just use that roles. So I'm just trying to select a role. So role is already here. So as per our path, what is the stage? Who is the approver?
Manager.
Manager, right? So how do the system know who is the manager for this particular user? It has to trigger and it has to send that request to the manager, right? How does
Yes.
system know? So system do know by this particular field. Whatever you are giving it here, right? That will be the manager. I guess getting
Yes. Yes.
that's the reason this field will be non-editable and this will be automatically fetched from Active Directory. If you guys remember, I told in the real time. For now, we can just give whatever you want. I'll just give grac. I am into inst1 kya? Okay, inst4. I'll give this as a manager and email ID just give it. Okay, so now I have given the mandatory fields. I've selected the role. Okay, and then I'll just submit this. Manager is incorrect. Okay, this ID doesn't exist in the system. So one thing here is manager should be there
GRC.
in our GR, in our
No,
system.
GRC that is. Look, that is
GR,
GRC.
Okay, okay.
GRC1. GRC4 లాగిన్ అవ్వండి.
నేను ఈ ఐడి ఎందుకు తప్పు అని చూపిస్తుంది. ఓకే, మేనేజర్
ఓకే.
ఇస్ ఇన్కరెక్ట్ అంటే ఈ ఐడి కానీ మన సిస్టంలో లేదు అంటే ఇట్ విల్ షో దిస్ ఎర్రర్. ఎందుకంటే మేనేజర్ అనేవాడికి he should have access. Okay, then only he can get into the system and he can approve it. Okay, that's the reason. Okay, fine. Now inst4 I have given and submitting. See, request number 14. Request number 14 has been. Now ఈ రిక్వెస్ట్ నెంబర్ 14 ఎక్కడ ఎండ్ అయిండాలి, ఏ పాత్ ట్రిగ్గర్ అయిండాలి? మనము ఏదైతే పాత్ క్రియేట్ చేసామో ఆ
Path
పాత్
you have been
ట్రిగ్గర్ అయిండాలి.
created.
Okay, so how to check that? We'll go to search requests and we'll see where exactly is this request number 14. Search. Here you can see the instant status. Click on that, it will give the complete picture of it. So if you guys can see here, ఏ పాత్ ట్రిగ్గర్ అయిందో చూడండి. పాత్ 1 డెమో ట్రైనింగ్ మేనేజర్ స్టేజ్. ఓకే, are you guys getting?
Yes,
ఎస్.
Trilok.
మన పాత్ ట్రిగ్గర్
Yes,
అయింది.
Trilok.
ఎందుకు మన పాత్ ట్రిగ్గర్ అయింది? బికాస్ వీ హ్యావ్ చేంజ్ దట్ default path తీసేసి we have given this path for our initiator rule. But here approvers అనేది ఇక్కడ కనపడాలి. Whomsoever is the approver, so that should be visible here. I don't know why it is not visible. Here it is the manager stage. Who is the manager? Who is the manager?
GRC ANST4.
That
INST
INST4.
ANST4.
inst4, right? That should be visible here. అది ఎందుకు విజిబుల్ కాలో చూద్దాం. సో ఐడియలీ మనకి ఏ పాత్ లో ఉంది, ఏ స్టేజ్, ఆ స్టేజ్ లో ఎవరు అప్రూవర్ అనేది ఇక్కడ కనిపిస్తుంది. Are you guys clear why this is triggered now?
Yes, yes.
So I'll just quickly check అసలు ఎందుకు మేనేజర్ కనిపించట్లేదు. Quickly go to SP RO. Flow. Maintain MSMP workflow. So we'll see GRSC manager. What is there here in this agent? I am getting into the change mode. What is there in this agent? Approval GRSC MSMP manager agent. Okay. Where is our path? See demo path. So agent ID GRSC manager. This is all perfect. This is all good. Save. Okay, this is all good. The configuration part is all good. So this is how we have to configure. So we have to give the stage ID. You have given the manager ID. So it should automatically go to the it should pick the path and it should go to the stage manager ID. So I'm really not sure why it's not picking up. I can check that, and maybe tomorrow class I can just clear that. I'll just check that. Okay. So for now, at least the path is triggered. So you can see our path is triggered. Approvers here, that particular name should come here. I don't know why it's not coming up. Okay, so once that person comes up, what that person has to do, right? He has to go to here. There is something called my home. For example, in this case, GRC INST4. He is a manager, right? I'm sorry, guys. He is a manager, and now he has to approve the request. He has to approve the request. How does he approve the request? First of all, he should have access to GRC system. Once he has access to GRC system, he has to get into NWBC and he has to go to my home. And here there is something called work inbox. If I click on this work inbox, it will show me all the requests which are pending with me. As of now, there are zero. Means there are nothing pending with me. If you open GRAC INST4, you should able to see that request here. For now, you'll not be able to see because approver is not there. Let's quickly check that. We'll just try to log into GRINST4 and see. I believe it won't be there. There is some issue. If it is there, I would have seen that in that instance status only it should have been shown. So it's not showing up. That's what, there is some issue somewhere. It's not showing up. So ideally it has to show up here. So if it has selected the right path, but it is not going to the approver. So that is the issue right now we are facing. Okay, that I'll see, I'll take care of it. But for now, you guys are clear with how the path is triggered. So uh, are you guys clear with that? Maybe
Yeah, yes,
tomorrow
below, below.
we'll just get into the more details, like, okay, so what if we want to customize it? So how do we actually create a BRF plus and create the table there? So in this case, we have only one path. Does this really will be sufficient in the real-time project, guys? Every request has to trigger only one path. Does that works in real-time project? Hmm?
Depending on the
Every request,
requirement.
uh, I have not seen any project which they go by. this default initiator, because it triggers always one path. So
Yeah.
they don't
Customization.
need, so there needs a customization, because they needs multiple paths. For example, so we have discussed, right? So new user, it has to go to role owner. Lock user, why it has to go to role owner? So if you have only one path, right, everything will go to role owner. I don't need that. So in that case, can I use the default initiator? If I
No.
have two paths,
Right.
if I have two paths to be chosen based on a condition, can I use the default initiator?
No.
Hmm?
No.
Why?
See, lock user actually his user ID may be misused by someone. So because
Hmm.
of multiple password attempts, it may be locked. So that's the reason we'll customize a path and we'll create it.
Okay, so basically customize endukante we don't want the same path to be triggered for every request. ఓకే, ఇప్పుడు లాక్ యూజర్ అంటే నాకు సేమ్ పాత్ ట్రిగ్గర్ అవ్వకూడదు. యూ షుడ్ హ్యావ్ డిఫరెంట్ పాత్. విల్ దాట్ బి
Yes.
విల్ దాట్ బి performed using this default initiator? Is that possible? No, it won't be possible. Default initiator will always trigger only one path. If it is default path or the
So
path which you have created, whatever it is, it will trigger only one path.
okay,
So
మనం అలాంటి
చెప్పండి.
సో మనం ఒక కస్టమైజేషన్ పాత్ క్రియేట్ చేసినప్పుడు అలా
Mhm.
ట్రిగ్గర్ టూ ట్రిగ్గర్స్ మనకి చూపిస్తాయా? ఐ మీన్ డిఫాల్ట్ ట్రిగ్గర్ ప్లస్ కస్టమైజేషన్ ట్రిగ్గర్ రెండు ట్రిగ్గర్ అవుతాయా అలాంటప్పుడు?
రెండు ఎందుకు ట్రిగ్గర్ అవుతాయి? ఒకటే ట్రిగ్గర్ అవుతుంది. బేస్డ్ ఆన్ యువర్
ఓకే
కండిషన్ ఒకటే ట్రిగ్గర్ అవుతుంది. వాట్ ఈస్ దట్ కండిషన్ అనేది మనము వీ నీడ్ టు గివ్.
ఓకే ఓకే
ఓకే, సో రెండు పాత్స్ ట్రిగ్గర్ అవ్వవు. సో మనకి రెండు పాత్స్ ఉంటే ఏ పాత్ ఎప్పుడు ట్రిగ్గర్ అవ్వాలి అనేది వీ హ్యావ్ టు డిసైడ్.
ఓకే ఓకే
అందుకే బిఆర్ఎఫ్ ప్లస్ యూజ్ చేస్తాం. అర్థమవుతుందా?
ఎస్ ఎస్
ఓకే, ఇప్పుడు ఈ కేసులో ఏం జరుగుతుంది? ఇప్పుడు కరెంట్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్లో మనం వర్క్ ఫ్లో సెట్ చేసాం. ఏం జరుగుతుంది?
ఓన్లీ
మీరు లాక్ యూజర్ చేయండి, ఏ యూజర్ ఎట్లాంటి రిక్వెస్ట్ సబ్మిట్ చేయండి, ఆ పాతే ట్రిగ్గర్ అవుతుంది. అంతే,
ఓకే
దట్స్ ఇట్. అలా కాకుండా ఇప్పుడు నేను ఇంకో పాత్ క్రియేట్ చేశాను, మేనేజర్ అండ్ రోల్. ఇప్పుడు నేను క్రియేట్ చేసిన పాత్ ఓన్లీ మేనేజర్ ఉంది. ఇంకో పాత్ క్రియేట్ చేశాను, మేనేజర్ రోల్ ఓనర్. ఇప్పుడు వెన్ ఎవర్ ఐ క్రియేట్ ఏ న్యూ యూజర్ టైప్ ఆఫ్ రిక్వెస్ట్, దెన్ ఇట్ షుడ్ గో టు మేనేజర్ అండ్ ఆల్సో రోల్ ఓనర్. అప్పుడు నేను ఇనిషియేటర్ రూల్ యూజ్ చేయగలుగుతానా? Initiator rule, either I can give the first path or second path. That's it. I can choose between these two based on a condition. అర్థమవుతుందా
Yes.
guys?
ఎస్ ఎస్
Yes.
Okay, so tomorrow we'll see how to actually create a simple custom initiator rule, okay, using BRF plus. I hope till now you guys are clear.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, Trilok.
Chalo. Fine guys, if you have any questions you can just let me know, or else we can close this call.
Yeah, Trilok, after completing this, can you do this practical thing of mitigation control?
Yeah,
Because I
sure.
checked it.
We can do that. We can do that.
Okay, Trilok. Yeah,
So
okay.
not now. We'll just complete this ARM and then we'll
Yeah.
jump
After
into that.
completing this,
Okay.
we'll just go.
Yeah, sure. We can do that.
Thank you, Trilok.
Okay, guys. Thank you, guys. Thank you.
థ్యాంక్ యూ